It's war. And the fiercest life and death struggle is always here at the front line, face to face with the enemy, and ultimately with death itself. Soldiers must prevent the front from breaking down at all costs. If they fail, the enemy invades, and the war is as good as lost. Of course, this is also true about the war each one of us fights every day, the war against illness and disease. In this endless war, the enemies are bacteria and viruses who launch sneak attacks. But until recently, the advantage was ours. We knew the enemy, and we knew how to attack. We aimed our prized magic bullets, antibiotics, directly at our enemies. But then we found ourselves being dragged into a new and larger war with a much trickier and elusive enemy. This enemy doesn't invade the body like bacteria and viruses do. Instead, it invisibly attacks from within and slowly breaks down our natural systems of defense. The results are modern-day degenerative conditions, like heart disease, which strikes 1 out of every 2 Americans, cancer, which strikes 1 out of every 3, arthritis, which attacks 41 million victims, asthma, which now claims 40 million, diabetes with its 35 million victims, autoimmune disorders such as fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, and lupus, which strikes 10 million people. This degenerative process is so deceptive that it begins by affecting the very basic conditions of optimal health, such as sleep. Sleep deprivation afflicts a staggering 70 million Americans, causing 100,000 car crashes a year and a $75 billion price tag in productivity loss. This is a costly war. 17 cents of every dollar spent today goes to healthcare, and often the best our pharmaceutical approach offers is to suppress the symptoms of these chronic conditions, which can potentially cause toxicity and side effects. The war against our health and well-being rages here, deep inside the body tissue. Here, the front line is on the ravaged streets of a kind of cell city. The war-torn streets are deserted, and toxic fumes linger in the air from the poison smoke bombs the enemy just dropped. Our soldiers, the defending white blood cells, mobilize into action. They search for the merciless, bomb-dropping invaders. They're out to crush the enemy completely. But something's gone wrong. Prowling the streets, the defending white blood cells come across 2 of their own soldiers. What do the defenders do? They fire on their own men. How could this happen? How could the defending army possibly attack itself? A leading scientific journal, Biotechnology, gives us the answer by demonstrating the importance of the newly discovered fact that cells need to communicate with each other. This cellular communication is the only known way for defending cells to avoid killing the very cells they're meant to defend. And it works just like the wars we know. If the soldiers can't communicate, the war is lost. The same is true for cells, and a lost cellular war, due to lack of communication, means destruction. So just how do cells communicate? It's strikingly similar to the way the written English language works. With English, we take 4 basic shapes to create 26 letters and countless words. The 24th edition of Harper's Biochemistry tells us that of the 200 carbohydrates found in nature, scientists have identified 8 as the carbohydrate components of letters that make up the cellular alphabet. Cells communicate by using these 8 known carbohydrates to shape letters and words. Here's how it works. The cells attach these 8 known carbohydrates to fats and proteins, creating glycoforms. Glycoforms are the cell's urgent messages for defense and health. If cells can't transmit their messages, they can find themselves suddenly conquered by the enemy. Back in war-ravaged Cell City, the enemy is bombing toxins in its ruthless chemical warfare campaign. The city has deteriorated from this destruction. How then can Cell City ever be restored? By restoring good cell-to-cell communication. And good nutrition is required for optimal cell-to-cell communication. Now, watch what happens when cells can communicate again. Cells serving as emergency medics rush in and repair the ailing cells. The weak get the support they urgently need. And when the war is won, the white blood cell defenders finally stop shooting their own soldiers and sisters. Now, the defenders can get back to work. Seeking and destroying the enemies, the front line is no longer breached, and the cell army now has resources to help defend against toxins, bacteria, and viruses. So we see cell-to-cell communication is crucial, but of the 8 known carbohydrates needed for cell-to-cell communication, only 2 are amply found in our modern diets. Ideally, a well-nourished, healthy body can manufacture the remaining 6, but it's not foolproof. So scientists began to suspect that this shortage of dietary carbohydrates is what causes massive communication breakdown between cells. Then researchers started looking at dietary supplements as a source for collecting these missing carbohydrates. The goal? To help the body maintain and restore good health. The healthcare-conscious public ready for this concept of dietary supplements. An abstract article quoted in the Journal of the American Medical Association reported that in a survey of family practice patients, 50% said they had or were using some form of alternative medicine. This made Congress sit up and take notice. In 1994, Congress passed the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. In it, Congress passed into law that consumers should be empowered to make choices about preventative health care programs based on data from scientific studies of health benefits related to particular dietary supplements. This law finally gives consumers the right to be given scientific studies on how dietary supplements can support health and wellness. It was this new law that encouraged 2 researchers in Texas, pharmacologist Bill McAnally and medical doctor Reginald McDaniel, to research and publish multiple studies on the health benefits of a complex of the missing carbohydrates. They called these nutritional supplements glyconutrients and inspired headlines. The advent of glyconutrients could be the health news of the century. The American Naturopathic Medical Association awarded Dr. McAnally and Dr. McDaniel the prestigious Biochemistry of the Year Award for their research on glyconutrients. Dr. Stephen Nugent was the association's president at the time. Today, he is president of the International Association of Complementary Medicine.
My national association gave its 1996 award for outstanding achievement in biochemistry to Dr. Bill McAnally and Dr. Reg McDaniel for the creation of the glyconutrient complex. We were so impressed with this complex that we would have given it the award of the century if we had that category to give. Western biomedicine has failed in its war against virus, toxins, and bacteria. In fact, some bacteria have even mutated to the point where they consume our most powerful antibiotics as nourishment. We know that the body has the ability to heal itself if provided with the proper tools. And with all the dietary supplements I've tested over the years, there's always been something missing, something that kept the body from achieving optimum wellness. I believe that this missing link is the glyconutrient complex. And clearly, when we understand how the 8 essential saccharides facilitate communication in the body, it is obvious then that the glyconutrient complex is the discovery of the century.
Researchers throughout the U.S. recently gathered in Dallas, Texas, to present peer-reviewed scientific papers on the health benefits of glyconutrients. What were some of their eye-opening developments?
I'd like to also introduce Dr. David Busby, Professor of Genetics and Toxicology at Texas A&M University.
In his pioneering cancer research, immunologist Dr. David Busby of Texas A&M University found that necessary glyconutrients increase cellular activity that can prevent damage to normal cells.
First member of the panel I'd like to introduce is Dr. Kathy Dykman, who's a medical doctor specializing in psychiatry, private practice, and a long history with research.
Dr. Catherine Dykman, a psychiatrist and member of the board of directors of Courage House, published clinical data showing that children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder behaved better after receiving glyconutrients. And more documented research on using glyconutrients as nutritional supplements also shows improvement in diabetes, menopause, arthritis, alcoholism, canker sores, dyslexia, hepatitis C, herpes, oral lesions, periodontal disease, asthma, Tay-Sachs disease, chronic fatigue syndrome, and fibromyalgia. Glyconutritional dietary supplements offer the 6 billion people on Earth much-needed ammunition to finally win the war for optimal health. The results of the growing data, laboratory testing, and clinical research are absolutely astounding. Glyconutrients appear to be the missing components in our modern diets that provide the real opportunity to achieve optimal health and our best bet for reducing healthcare costs. No matter what your current health status is, you can benefit from this discovery. At last, you now have the power to win the war for wellness. Victory is at hand as long as we choose to act.